The wind screamed across the frozen plains like a spirit set loose from the mountains, a ghost that carried the cries of those who dared to challenge nature. Snow fell in thick, heavy curtains that blurred the horizon, swallowing men, horses, and hope alike. It was the kind of cold that turned breath into ice and pride into regret. The army convoy had set up camp on the edge of a high plateau, a place the Apache called the Mountain's Breath. The soldiers had marched for days through snow that reached their knees, their fingers numb, their tempers shorter than the daylight. But when they saw what the Apache scouts were building beside them, laughter filled the freezing air. Snow tents? One of the soldiers chuckled, shaking his head. Those savages really think they'll stay warm in ice huts? Another joined in. Might as well dig their own graves while they're at it. The men howled with laughter, their voices echoing through the white silence. The Apache men did not respond. Wrapped in furs and hides, their faces calm, they carved thick blocks of snow and stacked them carefully into round domes that glowed pale blue under the moonlight. Inside, they lined the walls with hides and built small fires that burned slow and clean. Their hands moved with purpose, not fear, not pride, but ancient wisdom. Captain Morris, the commanding officer, puffed out his chest. "Let them freeze in those snow cocoons," he said proudly. "We'll stick with proper army tents, canvas and discipline, not superstition." His men cheered and poured another round of whiskey, confident that the white men's way was the right way. But as the last light faded, the wind began to howl louder, sharper, like claws scratching at the earth. By midnight, the storm came alive. It tore at the camp with invisible hands, ripping through tents and hurling snow into every crack and fold. Fires sputtered and died. Men cursed, shivered, and huddled together, trying to fight the merciless cold. The whiskey froze. Canvas split open. Breath turned to frost, and pride turned to panic. Meanwhile, just a few yards away, inside the Apache snow domes, warmth and silence reigned. The fires burned steadily, the air inside soft and still. Children slept wrapped in furs, their faces rosy from heat. The walls of snow shimmered gently, keeping the cold outside where it belonged. The Apache elder, Tall Elk, sat cross-legged by the fire, watching the shadows dance. "They laugh because they do not understand," he said softly to his son. "Snow is not the enemy. It protects those who respect it." His son nodded, listening. Outside, the howling of the wind sounded like morning. When the dawn finally broke, the world was buried in white. Only the tops of the soldiers' tents remained visible. The Apache scouts moved silently toward the camp. What they found froze their hearts even in that bitter cold. The men who had laughed the night before now sat motionless, their faces pale, their eyes glassy and still. Captain Morris was among them, proud, strong, and forever silent. The Apache bowed their heads. There was no joy in being right, only sorrow in seeing wisdom ignored. The Apache built a tall fire to honor the spirits of the fallen, and to thank the mountain for sparing those who listened. As the smoke rose into the sky, one of the younger warriors turned to Tall Elk. "They had tents and guns," he said. "We had only snow and fire. Yet they died." Tall Elk looked to the mountains and replied, "Because they believed power could protect them. But only wisdom keeps a man alive." Months passed. The winter faded. But the story of the snow tents spread like the wind whispered among soldiers and travelers, as a strange legend of the plains. Then one spring, another company of soldiers arrived. Fresh faces, bright uniforms led by Captain Walter Crane. They came with orders to build an outpost near the same ridge. When Crane saw the Apache camp, he marched up with confidence. "We've come to claim this area," he said. "Command says it's strategic." Tall Elk, older now, simply nodded. "This ground remembers your dead," he said quietly. The captain frowned. "We'll make our own mark," he replied proudly. The Apache said nothing. They had seen this pride before. That night, as the soldiers pitched their canvas tents, the sky darkened again. The wind rose. The snow began to fall. At first the men laughed, but by midnight the laughter was gone. Captain Crane, hearing his men shout and curse as the storm howled, saw faint orange glows in the distance, the Apache snow domes shining through the blizzard. He hesitated, then swallowed his pride and went toward them. The closer he came, the warmer the light felt. When the Apache opened one of their domes for him, he stepped inside and stopped in awe. Inside was life, warmth, calm, and peace. The fire flickered. Children slept. No one was freezing. "How?" he whispered. Tall Elk gestured to the walls. "The snow is not your enemy," he said. "It shields you if you build with it, not against it." The captain lowered his head. "My men are dying out there," he said. "Please, help us." The Apache opened their domes and took the soldiers in. They taught them to seal the doorways with hides, to sit close, to feed the fire slowly. For 2 days the storm raged. For 2 days no one died. When the storm finally ended, the soldiers looked out across a white world, still and shining. They were alive, not because of their weapons, but because of the wisdom they once mocked. That spring, Captain Crane worked alongside the Apache. Together they hunted, built, and learned. For the first time there was no mocking laughter, only respect. One night, as they sat by a shared fire, the captain asked Tall Elk, "Why did you save us after what happened before?" Tall Elk smiled faintly. "Because this time you came to learn," he said. "The mountain spares those who listen." When the soldiers eventually left, Captain Crane built a single snow dome and placed a wooden sign at its entrance. The words were simple but eternal. "Wisdom survives where arrogance dies." Years later, travelers passing through would find that dome, half buried, but standing strong. A quiet monument to the truth that saved one group of men and buried another. And whenever the wind howled across that ridge, it carried a whisper. The echo of laughter turned to silence, and of silence turned to understanding. And that, my friends, is the story of how pride perished and wisdom endured. A story that still speaks to us today. It reminds us that no matter how powerful we think we are, nature always humbles those who refuse to learn. If this story touched your heart, made you think, or gave you chills, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you never miss the next story of courage, wisdom, and the untold lessons of history. Because every tale we share brings the past to life, and every subscriber helps keep that fire burning through the storms of time.